we just want to start off with the newspaper review right away, right? So this morning, let's begin with the Vanguard newspapers. And the Vanguard newspaper is also picking on our minds. Take a look at the headline. Defections. PDP goes to court, says APC will soon implode. Interesting. Take a look at the Vanguard newspapers this morning. Take a look at the riders. Tasks its South-South committee to oversee party in Delta. I informed Atiku before defecting, of course. We talked about that earlier on. Says he wasn't hounded by the EFCC. Really? Jeffrey?
I'm not the EFCC. Why are you calling my name? Well, he said he was invited. He says he was invited and all of that. But let's get our guest in to bring us up to speed as to his perspective. Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Sam Kargbo, joins us. Senior Advocate, thank you so much for coming on the program.
Good morning.
So there's definitely work for you and your colleagues. The PDP is heading to court from the Vanguard. I would like your reaction.
Well, you know, it's their calls to make. And, you know, in this part of the world, we are very litigious. And most of the time, even when we know that it's a lost cause, we go to court because it's an individual. Membership of a party is an individual thing. It's not a group thing. And it's part of one's fundamental right that you cannot obstruct in any form. If an individual believes that Party B is his best call tomorrow and he takes that plunge, what can you do? You've missed him, you've missed him. When you go to court, what's the course of action? Are you saying you shouldn't leave your party? No. Yeah, like you said, it's a moral thing. Here, we do not really have parties that are based or grow along principles that are remarkably different from the other parties. They are all the same. Most of the parties are peopled by people who are been the same, with the same ideologies, if at all they have, and they're all looking for the same opportunities, which is grabbing political power. And when they see that where they are is not one that could give them security or the prospect that they think are out there for them, they jump to the other party that they feel will drive them to their, what would I call, their own uhuru. You know, it's unfortunate, but what can you do? They've left your party on whose platform they got into power, but the Constitution did not say they shouldn't. The Constitution addressed legislators, not the executive.
All right, Senior Advocate, let's go to This Nigeria, the front page of This Nigeria. There are two papers, two headlines I would like you to speak to. The ones you've spoken to already. Defection fallout, PDP Okowa in verbal warfare. I regret running with a northern candidate in 2023, ex-Delta governor. We made mistake picking him as vice presidential candidate. PDP laments. I think that's credited to Abba Moro, who was on our sister program yesterday. So I'd like you to speak to that as well. But just beneath that paper, CJN asks NBA to protect bench, warns against frivolous petitions against judges. We saw that released by the CJN yesterday, talking about this, that when investigations are done, the judges are found not to be guilty, and this traumatizes the judges, even saying that these petitions are intended to intimidate the judges. Some are even asking, who really investigate the judges to say that they are not guilty or not? So there is this back and forth that I've been seeing from that. I would like you to speak to it, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. The second one to me is more interesting. The one on the lamentation of those who say they regret choosing Okowa as vice president. The question he asks is, what was the back-end reason for them to choose him, if not for the money that he had to spend for their party? I do not think they did a sort of a serious due diligence as to the reason why they chose him. They chose him because he had the money. And now that he has left them, they regret, well, Good luck to them. But let me come back to the one that I think is worth discussing seriously with respect to the PDP members. Very easily, especially for us as lawyers, we vent our own frustration against the bench, and most of the time we give the wrong impression about what the judges do and how they do what they do. And instead of us actually educating the public as to what actually is the judicial process about and why many of these impressions about they betraying public trust are unfounded, we by ourselves egg on the people to believe that most of these judgments are judgments not based on factual realities before the court, which is to me very, very unfortunate. Yes, there are bad eggs in the bench, and many of us are disappointed. I have been around for a long time now, more than 3 decades as a lawyer. I can tell you for free that yes, I've experienced very, very sorrowful experiences with some of the members of the bench. But I have always said this, and I will repeat it without any apology to my colleagues, as between the bar and the bench is better in terms of moral content and in terms of doing what they are supposed to be doing. More of the corruption that you see being talked about the bench, most of the time, the drivers of it are members of the bench, especially for us, the senior members of the bench. Yes, it is good for us to be very, very critical of them, but we should be very, very circumspect, knowing that whatever we say is believed by the public. But most of the time, too, the judicial process, especially our own adversarial system, is one that is actually befogging and sometimes very, very confounding, because it's all about the strength of the litigants. If you have very good lawyers who can plead your case very well and are good advocates, they can get away with blue murder. At the end of the day, you turn around and you say, oh, it's the bench. Most of these accusations, I can tell you, are unfair. And I'm not surprised that the CJN is really making the call that it's calling.
And whether you like it or not, the judiciary, bar and the bench, seems to be one of the casualties amid the politicking in the system. And speaking of casualties, let's look at Blueprint newspaper, senior advocate, this morning. While all of the defections and the concerns are ongoing, the real issues of governance, leave more to be desired. Take a look at the headline. Nigeria loses 118 billion naira to gas flaring in 2 months. That's an exclusive by the Blueprint. And there are 2 riders there that give cause for reflection. Shell, NPDC, Mobil Oil, others to pay $141.9 million penalties. And then our homegrown energy transition will achieve zero emission. That's ascribed to Bagudu. I'd like you to speak on this. Are you optimistic in this regard that penalties will be paid? And is this any form of the efficacy of the Petroleum Industry Governance Bill Act in action?
Well, it's difficult really to say, because what we are having here is not something new. I think any adult Nigerian, I would say, grew up meeting this problem: poor management of the cash cow of the country, that is the oil and gas. And gas flaring has been with us for a very, very long time. I do not think there has been any time that one has gone to sleep with the belief that that problem has been solved. To me, it's the general problem of poor management of the public resources, poor management of public space. Service delivery in the public sector is very poor, and it's actually part of the problem of our own development. That is actually the foundation of our own development. And if it is poorly managed, we get what? poor resources, and I do not see why up to this time, with all the modern technology, with all that you can borrow here and there for you to address that situation, and yet we still have it. And look at the amount that we are losing. That's good money that could attend to many of these infrastructural problems and social problems that we're having. But what do we have? People who are managing our poor public space are poor managers, and most of the time the reason is because the recruitment process itself is very poor, and the reasons for putting people where they are is not so much for what they are doing. It's not about competence, but basically in terms of the interest that they are meeting and addressing. So I'm not optimistic at all. I think it's still going to be with us like it has always been.
Well, thank you very much, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Sam Kargbo, for those insights. These issues clearly they'll be shaping the conversation for the day and the rest of the week, but at least we have some guidance from you. Thank you so much, Senior Advocate.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the opportunity.